Low pass filter is generally a smoother, or it is also called an integrator. For example, your moving average summer accumulator is a low pass filtering operation. Okay, you know about moving average, right? You put a window and take the convolution between that window and the signal lying below that window, and you keep on moving that window on the signal, and you get different accumulated values. So when you do that, you are actually doing an averaging, or you are doing a weighted averaging, or you are doing a smoothing, or you are doing an integration, or an accumulation operation, or basically a low pass filtering operation. So here I'm going to talk about the reverse of that. That is called a differentiator. So let us look at the differentiator. So earlier we wanted to low pass filter Xc of t. So now I want to emphasize the high frequencies in Xc of t. That is, I want to differentiate Xc of t. That is my goal. So those of you who have done an image processing course, have you done some image processing course? Anyone? Has anybody gone through an image processing course? You are taking DSP in final year. Are you studying image processing along with DSP? Anyone?
No, sir.
No one? No one is taking DIP along with DSP? Yeah, that is sad. Because if you would have taken DIP, then you would have understood what I was trying to say. That when you differentiate a signal, you are actually emphasizing the high frequency components in that signal. For example, when you take an image, the high frequency components in the image are the edges in the image. So suppose you take a picture of your face and you see the contours of your face, the eyebrows, the nose, the lips, the face contour, those are the high frequency areas. And what are the low frequency areas? The region on the cheek or the region on the forehead. Those are the low frequency regions where the intensity don't vary so much. Where the intensity changes drastically, those are the places where you have high frequencies. So when you take the Fourier transform of the image, you can see high frequencies, and those high frequencies correspond to edges in the image, or contours in the image, or boundaries in the image. At the boundaries, the image intensities, they change drastically. Okay. For example, you can take a look at your eyes. The eyes have a very distinct variation of intensity. So you have the eyeball and you have the whites of the eye near the eyeball. So the intensity changes from black to white to black, something like that. Hmm. Or as you go from left and right, left to right, it changes from white to black to white again. So you'll get sudden peaks or jumps in the intensity values. So if you would have taken a DIP course, you would understand exactly what I was trying to say. So this example gives you an idea that you can create implementation of an ideal continuous time band limited differentiator. So your system or H effective j omega will behave like a differentiator. So that dashed line block which I had shown, to whom you are feeding xc of t and the output was yr of t, would actually, yr of t would do a d by dt of xc of t. Okay, you see this expression? Are you able to see my cursor?
Yes.
Corresponding frequency response of the filter or the, uh, would be equal to j into omega. So for processing band limited signals, you can write H effective j omega is equal to j omega over mod omega less than pi by t, and is 0 for mod omega greater than equal to pi by t. So the plot of H effective j omega mod, the amplitude response looks like this. It goes on increasing up to pi by t and then goes to 0. beyond pi by t. So it is equal to j omega, so the maximum amplitude is pi by t. Okay. And similarly, the angle, you can calculate the angle by taking tan inverse of the imaginary part divided by the real part. Imaginary part is omega and real part is 0. So tan inverse of infinity, that comes out to be pi by 2. So that's what you have in the phase plot. The phase plot has odd symmetry, whereas the magnitude plot has even symmetry. So this leads to an h of n, the impulse response, to be a real function. So you can calculate out the impulse response. So that turns out to be something like this. So if you take the inverse dTft of this guy, so that was written with capital omega, and here it was written with capital omega, and now we can write h e to the power j omega as j small omega by t. So this is your dTft of the filter. So this frequency response can be plotted, and this is supposed to be a periodic frequency response. So it can be plotted like this. Okay, this is mod h e j omega. It is periodic, and this is the angle plot, the tan inverse of imaginary part of h of e to the power j omega divided by real part of h of j omega. So the phase response and the magnitude response. So this is the inverse dTft. So it is written as h of n like this, for n going from minus infinity to plus infinity. For n is equal to 0, you see this the numerator becomes 0 because there is an n here, pi n cos pi n. So n is equal to 0, so the numerator becomes 0. Okay, sine pi, sine 0, 0. So h of n becomes 0 for n equal to 0. For n not equal to 0, this part becomes 0. Sine pi into n not equal to 0. This is always 0. So you are left with pi n into cos pi n divided by pi n square t. That simplifies to cos pi n by nt. Correct? Everyone, are you able to understand?
Yes,
Ah. So excuse me. Okay. So now we have got the impulse response and the DTFT frequency response of the uh, differentiator. So now let us do a small example. Let us apply this differentiator onto a signal. Okay. So, we will apply a sinusoidal input. Okay. We'll apply a sinusoidal input to this band limited differentiator. So the input is xc equal to, or xct equal to cos of capital omega t with omega naught less than pi by t. So the sampled input will be x of n equal to cos of omega naught n, where omega naught is equal to small capital omega into t, should be less than pi, and the dt of t can be expressed as a function of capital omega. So dt of t of cos small omega n can be now written like this. X e to the power j small omega, where small omega is written as capital omega t equal to 1 by t pi into delta of this omega minus omega naught minus k omega s. So suppose we only limit ourselves to minus pi by 2 to plus pi by t, then in this infinite spectrum, we will retain only the baseband spectrum. So the baseband spectrum is a spectrum centered around the origin. That will be this guy. Pi by t delta of omega minus omega naught plus pi by t delta of omega plus omega naught. So these are two impulses at plus minus capital omega naught. And the condition is that capital omega naught is less than pi by t. Okay, sorry. So this is your sampled spectrum, and we are only looking at the baseband part of it. Now to express the discrete time Fourier transform in terms of small omega, we can now apply the formula that delta of k into x is equal to 1 by mod k into delta x. So if you do that, the reverse way. So 1 by mod k delta of x is equal to delta kx. So if you do that, then you get pi delta small omega minus omega naught plus pi delta small omega plus small omega naught. So this is the formula. Okay. This is the Dirac delta function. So it follows this formula. Are you all able to see my cursor?
Yes, sir.
So that is how you got from here to here. So now you have the dTft expression in terms of small omega. So this is the dTft of x of n equal to cos of small omega naught n. Now this is applied to a differentiator. So this differentiation should lead to minus sine omega n, isn't it? D by d, like you are differentiating and you are getting differentiating with respect to time. So you are taking the derivative of this signal. So you should get minus sine omega naught n. So let us see how we get this. So this is fed as input, and the output will be y of e to the power j omega equal to h e j omega into x e j omega, because the differentiator is a linear system. So differentiator is an LTI system. So you can write it out like this. So h e j omega can be written like this from the previous expression. Okay. H e j omega is equal to j omega, isn't it? Or j omega by t. This is the expression. Now you have got x e j omega, which is this expression, which is the dTft of cos of small omega naught n. So you can write y e to the power j omega, which is the dTft of the output, as h e j omega into x e j omega, which is this guy. So this guy can be now simplified, written like this. So the continuous time Fourier transform of the output of the D2A converter can be written by using small omega equal to capital omega t here. So you can write yr j omega equal to hr j omega into y e to the power j omega t equal to this guy. So this hr j omega is the reconstruction filter sitting inside the D2A converter. And this reconstruction filter is nothing but a low pass filter. Okay, with a magnitude t. In the frequency domain, this is a low pass filter, ideal low pass filter with a magnitude t, because in the time domain it is a sinc function. In a D2A converter, you want to use the ideal interpolation formula. So you have the sinc function as the reconstruction filter, which in the frequency domain is a low pass filter, ideal low pass filter with a magnitude t. That is what comes here. So t gets multiplied with y e to the power j omega t, which is this entire expression. This entire
Hello.
expression can be, yes.
Hello, sir. Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, in that slide.
Yeah.
Can you please show the slide?
Yeah.
Sir, first it is written j omega by t into x e power j omega, and then it is actually multiplied j omega naught by t. So why is omega made omega naught?
Okay. See, whenever you have multiplication with delta, you are going to get, it is a shifting property of the Dirac delta function.
Oh, acha, yes. Yeah.
Okay. That
Yes,
is the
sir.
reason.
Yes.
Okay. So now you have this expression. So t into j omega naught by t into pi delta of capital omega t minus capital omega naught into t, where we are expressing now small omega in terms of capital omega. So you have got this expression. So again, here you simplify this guy. If you simplify this guy, you will lead to this guy, because you are using the scaling property of the Dirac delta function. So this is the property. You are going to get this. So now you can write small omega naught as capital omega naught. So capital omega naught into t. So one t will get cancelled out, and the other t gets cancelled out here. So all the t's goes out. So now you are left with j into capital omega naught into pi into delta capital omega minus omega naught minus this expression. So if you try to see yr j omega, what it is, it will get simplified further. So let us see what yr j omega comes to be. So if you take the inverse, that means if you take the inverse DTFT of this guy, then by using the frequency shifting property, then you can write this expression: j omega naught into half into e to the power j omega naught t is a plant using the shifting property of the frequency shifting property. So you can write this expression: j omega naught into half e to the power j omega t minus j omega naught into half e to the power minus j omega t. Okay. So the reconstruction filter selects the two impulses at plus minus omega naught, and you can get this, which is equal to minus omega naught into sine omega naught t. So what has happened? You have taken xc of t, which is cos omega naught t, where omega naught is capital, and you have got the output as minus omega naught into sine omega naught t. So that is differentiation operation that has happened in the continuous time domain, and you have been able to achieve this filtering operation. This is actually a linear system, and you are able to achieve by using the impulse response of the band limited differentiator. You are able to achieve differentiation operation. I hope everyone has understood this example. So with this, I will shift into another topic. And there are actually two more topics to cover in sampling. So I will discuss briefly like the idea here, which is changing the sampling rate. So sometimes we require to change the sampling rate of the original sampling rate. So suppose I'm given a signal, and or suppose let me say that I am given an image. Now that image is a discrete image. That means it has some number of rows and some number of columns. So when you have a digital image or a discrete image, your space or the xy coordinates are discretized, and the amplitude is also discretized, just like in a 1D signal. In a 1D signal, suppose you have a voltage waveform, then your amplitudes are discretized or quantized, and the time axis is also discretized. So that's how you get a digital signal. So for an image, the same thing. So in the image, you have two axes, that is x and y axis, and the image intensities form the amplitudes, that is the z axis. So image is actually a surface. If you plot it as a 3D plot, it looks like a surface. And if you visualize it as an image, then it looks like a photograph, whatever you see on the computer screen, Okay, so the rows and the columns are the XY axis, and the amplitude of the grayscale, the gray level intensity that you are observing is the Z axis. So you can again imagine your face to be the image, and you have some size of the face. Maybe you have taken a picture from which you cropped out your face, and that face came out to be 200 by 200 pixels. 200 rows, 200 columns. Now you want to change the number of rows and the number of columns, or you want to resample the original signal. So if you want to maybe reduce the size of the image, that means you now want to construct a 100 by 100 image from a 200 by 200 image. So what will you do? You will skip alternating rows and columns. So you will keep the first row, and you will go to the third row. You will remove the second row. Similarly, you'll keep the first column, then you will go to the third column. You will remove the second column. So like that, if you do for all the 200 columns, you will be left with 100 column and 100 row image. That is a decimated or a downsampled version of the original image. Is this clear? Whatever I just described. Before I move forward, I want to make these things clear. Is this okay? Whatever example I have given?
Yes.
Are you able to understand what is happening?
Yes.
So now you see, suppose I'm given a signal which has originally been sampled with a sampling rate or sampling time period T, that means I got some 500 samples out of a continuous time signal. Then I want to change the sampling rate of the discrete time signal. That is, I want to now get maybe 200 samples out of that same continuous time signal. So I am going back to the continuous time signal and now sampling at a different time rate. So that is T prime. This is a different sampling time period. So with that new sampling time period, I will get a different signal. And that signal is X prime N. Okay. So sometimes I want to derive X prime N from Xn. Okay, that is the idea that I'm now trying to push. That is called downsampling of a signal or decimation of a signal. That means you are reducing the resolution of the signal. So suppose T prime is greater than 1, then you are reducing the resolution. So that image example which I gave earlier, your picture was of 200 cross 200 size. Now it has become 100 cross 100 size. So the resolution of the image has reduced, or the resolution of the signal has reduced. Is this clear? Had you done an image processing course, these ideas would have been so nicely illustrated. But unfortunate that you are not taking the DIP course. All of you are in final year, right? Some of you are MTech, some of you are dual degree, isn't it? What happened to your computer science image processing course, Baba? Nobody is taking it. It is getting offered this semester, no? I thought all of you wanted to do data science. Nobody wants to do image processing in data science. What happened? I thought last time I saw 300 students in that course. This time, how many are there? Okay. Anyway, in our department also there was an image processing course. I thought you could have taken it. This semester it is running. So if you would have taken it, so many things would have come clear to you. Okay. So as I was explaining, yeah. So we want to do a sampling rate reduction by an integer factor. I can also increase the sampling rate, okay? Just for the sake of like simplicity, I want to cover this first, reduction of the sampling rate. We'll talk about interpolation in tomorrow in Thursday's class. And with decimation and interpolation, I will stop this sampling because I have to go to DFT and FFT. So ideally, I would have liked to cover a little bit more in sampling. I would have liked to cover A to D converter and D to A converter, the practical aspects of it, but I'm not getting the time. So let me complete sampling chapter. And there was one more important concept, that is sampling of bandpass signals. That also I'm missing. Maybe next time when I teach DSP, I would like go for those topics also. So if you see here, we are trying to reduce the sampling rate by defining a new signal xd of n, which is equal to xn into capital M, where m is greater than 1, or it is equal to xc into n into m into t. So you see in this diagram, there is a downward arrow. Okay, that means you are throwing away the information, you are reducing the resolution of the original signal. So original signal is of say, samples 500, you want to reduce it down to samples 250. So your m is equal to 2. So you want to throw away half of the samples. Now suppose m is equal to 3, you want to keep only 1/3 of the signal, original signal. You are throwing away 2/3 of the signal. So that is the idea here. So we are reducing the sampling rate. So this is called a compressor or a decimator, or because you are reducing. So if you look at the bandwidth, what will happen to the bandwidth? So we'll talk about that once I come to an example. I'll give you the illustration, and then we'll look at what happens in the frequency domain. So in the time domain, you are keeping only a small part of the signal. In the frequency domain, the reverse of that will happen. So let us see what will happen. So you are compressing a signal in the time domain, or you are downsampling the signal in the time domain, In the frequency domain, the bandwidth will expand. So, so this is the representation of a compressor or discrete time downsampler. Okay, is this clear? So we are doing a downsampling operation. Any doubts? Anyone?
No, sir.
Okay, let us move forward. So our new sampling time period is t prime equal to m into capital T. So we are now moving into the frequency domain analysis. So we have understood in the time domain what is happening in decimation or downsampling. In the frequency domain, what happens? So suppose we have taken a band limited signal, xc of j omega is equal to 0 for mod omega greater than or equal to omega n. That is, our xc j omega looks like this. It is a band limited signal from omega n to minus omega n. Then the decimated signal xdl of n is an exact representation of xc of t if this statement is holding. We'll come to this little later, but just for the sake of and precursor, I'm just putting this. So pi by t prime is equal to pi by mt should be greater than or equal to omega n. That means omega n should be less than the folding frequency. This is your pi by t. Okay. So we will come to what happens in the as soon as you sample, as soon as you downsample, the bandwidth will expand, and the signal, the decimated signal bandwidth will become like this. Okay. So okay, we'll come to this little later. First, let me derive all the equations. So pi by t prime is equal to pi by mt should be greater than or equal to omega n. So the sampling rate can be reduced by a factor of m without aliasing if the original sampling rate was at least m times the Nyquist rate. Okay, so the original sampling rate should be m times the Nyquist rate. Then only you can downsample the signal m times. So suppose your signal was having bandwidth 40 hertz, then the Nyquist rate would be 80 hertz. Then if you want to downsample the signal by 2 times, then the original signal has to be sampled at 160 hertz. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Suppose you have a 40 hertz signal and you want to sample that. You have 40 hertz continuous time signal, so maximum bandwidth is 40 hertz. Okay, so omega n is equal to 40 hertz. So what is the Nyquist rate? The Nyquist rate is 80 hertz. Okay, now you want to downsample that signal by 2 times. So that means you want to halve the resolution of that signal in the time domain. If you want to halve the resolution in the time domain, you are expanding the bandwidth of the downsampled signal by 2 times. That means your original signal should not have been sampled at the Nyquist rate. That is, it should not have been sampled at 80 hertz, but should have been sampled at 160 hertz. Then only your xd e to the power j omega will not have aliasing. Okay, that is the idea. So the original sampling rate should be at least m times the Nyquist rate, or if the bandwidth of the sequence is first reduced by a factor of m by discrete time filtering, then you can do downsampling. So here comes the idea of a pre-filter. So I'll come to that little later. So in general, the operation of reducing the sampling rate, including any pre-filtering, will be called downsampling or decimation. So these are synonymous terms. So how do we obtain the frequency domain relationship between the input and output of a compressor or a downsampler or a decimator? So we will derive the relationship between discrete time Fourier transform, because xd of n is equal to xn into capital M. Both are discrete time signals. So you are throwing away some samples of a discrete time signal. So if you see here on the left hand side, you have a discrete time signal x of n, and on the right hand side, you have another discrete time signal. So you are trying to find out the frequency response of a downsampler or a decimator, and on the input and the output side, you have discrete time signals. So you are supposed to take the DTFT. So the discrete time Fourier transform of x of n can be written like this, where this is xc. So you are bringing in XE, but we are going to relate X e j omega with XD e j omega. Okay, Xn with XDn. So this is the first equation. This we all know. Okay, this is our sampling. This comes from sampling. So this is the infinite frequency spectra due to sampling. So the dTft xd of n is equal to x of n m is equal to xc nt prime with t prime equal to mt can now be written like this, where you see everywhere you have t prime in the previous expression. So earlier xn dTft was obtained like this, where you had t in this right hand side. T was the original sampling with which you got x of n. Now you are trying to obtain x of dn, which is obtained from the original signal xc of t by sampling at a sampling time period of t prime. So xc and t prime. So now you have on the right hand side everywhere t prime. So t prime is equal to mt. So now you can write this. Up to this it is clear. All the material I'm taking from Oppenheim and Schaefer. Okay. Proacius also has this material, but notation used is capital F. So I am not using that notation. I'm sticking to my previous notation. So I'm using capital omega as the analog frequency and small omega as the discrete frequency. So there it is capital F and small f. So you will get unnecessarily confused. So I'm sticking to Oppenheim and Schaefer. Is this clear? All these equations are clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, moving forward. Now we want to find the relationship between 4.74 and 4.72. That means this guy and this guy. This is the dTft of x of n, and this is the dTft of xd of n, which is the downsampled version of x of n, x of nm. Okay. Suppose m is equal to 2. This is x of 2m. So you are halving the time resolution. That means you are retaining only half the samples of the original signal. So now we want to find out the relationship between xd e to the power j omega and xe to e to the power j omega. So we can write the summation index r as r equal to I plus km, where k and I are integers such that k goes from minus infinity to plus infinity and I goes from 0 to m minus 1. Because both because this is a summation from minus infinity to plus infinity, so you can split it like this. And you can, it doesn't matter whether you retain a small finite part like this and you have I going from k going from minus infinity to plus infinity. The sum is from minus infinity to plus infinity. So you can do the simplification of r by writing it as I plus km. So this will simplify your right hand side. Okay. R is going from minus infinity to plus infinity, and k is also going from minus infinity to plus infinity. So only thing that you have done is you have taken a small chunk from 0 to m minus 1, and you have written as I. Okay. So R is still an integer ranging from minus infinity to plus infinity. So there is no change. Okay. If you see here, k going from minus infinity to plus infinity, here R going from minus infinity to plus infinity. So the summation really doesn't change. What you are trying to do is you are trying to write the sum terms on the right hand side in a simple way. So let me show you. So now equation 4.74 can now be expressed like this. So you have 1 by m summation I going from 0 to m to the power m minus 1, I going from 0 to m minus 1, I plus km. R is written as I plus km, I going from 0 to m minus 1, and k going from minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay. So you are writing 4.74 xt e to the power j omega. You are trying to write out this summation going from minus infinity to plus infinity in terms of I plus km, r equal to I plus km. Okay. So it leads to this. Is this clear? Wherever there is r, you are replacing it as I plus km. Okay. So here you have I plus km instead of r. And you are writing t prime is equal to mt. This we are already doing here. Okay, shall I go ahead?
1 second, sir. Okay.
Yeah. If you're writing, you can write.
Done, sir.
Okay. So the term in the square brackets can be simplified. If you see this part in the square brackets can be written in a simple way because this is some function can be written as x e to the power j omega minus 2 pi I in brackets divided by m. Okay. If you see question 4.72, this is x e to the power j omega. And now here you have omega minus 2 pi I coming in the square bracket. Omega minus 2 pi k or something like that here. Or omega minus 2 pi I. Here it is 2 pi k by t. So 2 pi k by t is still there. And you have now omega by mt minus 2 pi I by mt. Okay. So this part, this entire part can be written as x e to the power j omega minus 2 pi I by m. Compare with 4.72. Then you can understand that this is the same form. So now you can simplify xd e to the power j omega as 1 by m. I goes from 0 to m minus 1, x e to the power j. Now here he has taken m inside. So omega by m minus 2 pi I by m. Okay. So xt e to the power j omega is periodic with period 2 pi because it is a DTFT. So all DTFT are periodic with 2 pi. And aliasing can be avoided by ensuring that xt j omega is band limited. So xd e to the power j omega, the bandwidth expands as compared to x e to the power j omega. So aliasing is an issue. So we have to ensure that x e j omega is band limited. And this condition is satisfied. Okay. Till now it is okay.
Yes, sir.
Now let us look at the plots and then let us clarify these ideas. So this is the illustration of downsampling. The original Xc of t in frequency domain has the maximum amplitude, maximum bandwidth or cutoff frequency as capital omega n. When you sample Xc of t, you get Xe to the power j omega. So that is this. So this is the infinite frequency replication, and magnitude becomes 1 by t. Now we get this C plot where this x-axis is changed to small omega. So there is no difference between this guy and B and C except that the x-axis is changed to small omega. Okay. The B and C plots are identical. Here the x-axis is capital omega, and now here it is small omega. And you have band limited this guy such that omega n is less than pi. Now capital M is equal to 2. You have reduced the time domain duration. That means you have reduced the resolution in the time domain by half. In the frequency domain, the bandwidth expands. So the bandwidth or xd e to the power j omega can be now written like this. Okay, by using this formula. By using this formula, it will be 1 by 2 summation I equal to 0 to 1, 0 to 2 minus 1. So 0 to 1 x e to the power j omega divided by m minus 2 pi I divided by m equal to 2. So if you use this formula, then you get this. You see the bandwidth has now expanded to touch pi. Still there is no aliasing, but it has now touched pi. And here you have just changed the axis from small omega to capital omega. So here it is t prime. Here it is t prime, t prime, t prime. Okay, everywhere in this plot. So let's look at the explanation. So what we have done is 2 pi by t is equal to 4 times omega. That means your initial original sampling rate is exactly twice the minimum rate to avoid aliasing. That is why it did not cross in beyond pi. Your capital omega nt, it touches pi. It doesn't go beyond pi because your original sampling rate was fixed to be 4 times omega because capital M was 2. Earlier, it should have been 2 pi by t equal to 2 times omega n if you respected the Nyquist sampling rate. But because you are downsampling, the original sampling rate was 4 times omega n. So the original sampling rate is exactly twice the minimum rate to avoid aliasing. So when the original sample sequence is downsampled with factor of m equal to 2, no aliasing results. If the downsampling factor is more than 2, then aliasing will result. So that also we will check. Is this clear?
Yes.
We'll go to the next example where we'll see aliasing happening because we'll increase m to 3. Here omega n is chosen as pi by 2. Okay. And we are not going to increase the downsampling by 2, but we are going to go beyond 2, that is 3. So if omega n is equal to pi by 2, then if you downsample by a factor of 2, it will expand and it will come here. So when m is equal to 2, there is no aliasing, but when m is greater than 2, you will observe aliasing. Okay, so omega n is equal to pi by 2. So if you downsample by a factor of m equal to 3, then we get xd of n equal to x3n equal to xd n3t, and if you see, this will be the plot. So pi by 2 will go to 3 pi by 2. Okay, so it is crossing pi and entering 3 pi by 2. So this is the plot of xd e to the power j omega, whereas this was the plot of x e to the power j omega. This is a dt of t of x of n. So the original omega n was at pi by 2. So when you took the dt of t of x of 3n, the pi by 2 will go to 3 pi by 2. So it is entering the next spectrum. So similarly, the next spectrum will now go from pi, it will encroach from pi to here. It will enter inside. Okay. So what is the solution? What should we do in order to avoid aliasing? So the solution is to pre-filter your x of n. And how to pre-filter? That means we have to remove all frequency components beyond a certain frequency cutoff. So originally it had frequency components up to pi by 2. So now if I want to downsample the original signal, it is going up to 3 pi by 2. So I must reduce this pi by 2 to some lower value so that when it expands by a factor of 3, it will not go beyond pi. So pi by 2 should reduce to pi by 3. So that is a rule here. So because m into omega n is equal to 3 pi by 2, which is greater than pi, aliasing occurs. So in general, to avoid aliasing in downsampling by a factor of m, it requires that omega n into capital M should be less than pi, or omega n should be less than pi by m. So your omega n should be restricted not to pi by 2, but to pi by 3 if you want to downsample by a factor of 3. To do that, you need a pre-filter ideal low-pass filter to be applied on the frequency spectrum of x of n, because you are going to downsample x of n to x of 3n. So you are going to apply this pre-filter, which is hd e to the power j omega, magnitude 1, cutoff pi by 3, pi by m. So when you apply this pre-filter, you are going to get this x tilde e to the power j omega, which is equal to hd e to the power j omega into x e to the power j omega. Now the frequency components beyond pi by 3 are cut out. Okay. So now when you downsample x tilde or x tilde n by a factor of 3, x tilde e to the power j omega will go up to pi. Okay. It will not encroach this guy. It will go up to this. So frequency content will increase up to pi and tip to 0. So this is the idea of downsampling with pre-filtering to avoid aliasing. So if your original signal is not sampled at m times the Nyquist rate, okay, then you have to apply pre-filter. If it is originally sampled at m times the Nyquist rate, then aliasing will not happen. Okay. But if it is not m like sampled originally at m times the Nyquist rate, then if you downsample that signal, then aliasing will happen. So you have to use a pre-filter. This is the idea of pre-filtering. I hope I am clear. So all of you should read Oppenheim and Schaefer.
Yes, like an anti-aliasing filter. Like.
Yeah, something like that.
Yes.
It is called a pre-filter.
Yes.
Okay. So one thing is that xd tilde n is not equal to x tilde or is not no longer represents the original underlying continuous time signal xc of t because you have applied a pre-filter. So you have modified the spectrum of the original xc of t. So whatever you will get from x tilde e to the power j omega by inverting, taking the inverse dt of t of this, you will not get xc of t. You will get something else. You will get xc tilde of nt prime, where t prime is equal to mt. Because using the pre-filter, you are cutting out the original frequency spectrum. You are never going to get back the original signal. That is the disadvantage of pre-filtering. Although it doesn't cause aliasing, but you lose some of the frequency components because you're cutting them out. So this is the last slide for today. So before you do downsampling by a factor of m, you should apply a low pass filter with gain 1 cutoff equal to pi by m. This is called a pre-filter, and xn will get now modified to x tilde of n, and x tilde of n is not equal to x of n, okay, because of this pre-filter. So now by doing this downsampling operation, you can get xd tilde of n, which is equal to x tilde nm. So you can now obtain the downsampled version of the signal. This will not have aliasing because you are pre-filtered. So in image processing, we do something which is the reverse of this guy. Okay. Those who are interested, I would refer you to see some papers on what is called super resolution. How many of you have heard about this word, super resolution? How many of you use mobile phones in which you have zoom, you have optical zoom, then you have digital zoom? Have you seen in your mobile phones while taking picture that there is some optical zoom and then there is digital zoom? How many of you know about it? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
What is digital zoom? So the reverse of this guy is called interpolation, which we will study in the next class. That is troublesome because there you have to invent information. Here you are throwing away information. If you have a 500 point sample signal, you are getting a 250 point signal. You are retaining 250 points from the original signal and you are throwing away 250 points. So you are not actually doing so much uh, problem to the original signal. You are just throwing away some part of the signal. So the fidelity of the signal is well preserved. But when you do interpolation, you have to hallucinate or you have to find new information because you have to create a larger signal from a smaller signal. You have to do the reverse of this. So then how would you find out what is the value at a sample which did not exist? So you're going to insert samples between two existing samples. So what is that value? How would you know that? That is a difficult problem and it cannot be solved so easily. So it is called the interpolation problem, and we'll see what it is. Okay. So I think today this is enough. On Thursday, we are going to meet and discuss interpolation, and we'll wind up sampling. Most probably Saturday, I will keep an extra class. I'll start DFT on Saturday, because next week I'm supposed to finish off your course. Okay, is it done?
Yes, sir.
I suggest all of you start reading Oppenheim and Schaefer, and you look at the examples which I'm teaching, so you can see it in detail and understand the equations. Open the book. Okay, don't just refer to notes. Open the books. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.